No one in Judge Judy's courtroom that morning had any idea that the day would spiral into a scandal that would shake social media, humiliate a senator's family, and become a viral courtroom moment. But the moment 16-year-old Ava Gray walked through those courtroom doors, the entire room stiffened. Confidence radiated off her like a neon sign. She wasn't nervous, she wasn't respectful, and she wasn't pretending. Her father was a senator. Privilege had trained her to believe consequences didn't exist for people like her. She strolled to the plaintiff's table. Designer jacket slightly unbuttoned, a smirk playing on her lips. Whispering to her friend behind her, "This is so stupid. They can't touch me." Judge Judy didn't even glance up initially, reviewing the case file, a simple property damage claim. But the moment Ava sighed loudly, Judy's eyes met hers. In an instant, the judge recognized that familiar entitlement, the kind only someone who's never faced consequences carries. Asterisk. The audience felt it, a storm gathering quietly. Ava was oblivious, checking her phone, adjusting her posture, laughing softly at the microphones capturing every infraction. She rolled her eyes at instructions, whispered sarcastic comments, and believed fully that her father's influence could shield her from anything. But Judge Judy had already read every TikTok, text message, and screenshot. Ava's arrogant boasts about making the plaintiff cry were laid bare in black and white on Judy's desk. The lies, the deflections, the manipulations, all cataloged, all waiting. Asterisk. Finally, Ava leaned forward and said with a soft, mocking laugh, "Honestly, Your Honor, I don't even know why we're wasting time on this. My dad writes the laws you're trying to enforce." The courtroom gasped. Cameras clicked. Even the bailiff, seasoned in disrespectful defendants, froze. Judge Judy's gaze didn't waver. The temperature in the room shifted. Ava believed she had won, but she was seconds away from learning the hard truth about accountability. Asterisk. Judy finally spoke, flat and precise. "Miss Gray, why don't you tell me what happened that day?" Ava leaned back, casual, confident. I nudged her bumper. "She's exaggerating. It's not my fault she parks like a cheap car." Laughter mixed with gasps. Judge Judy's expression didn't change. "So you believe that entitles you to damage someone's property and then dismiss it as trivial?" Ava scoffed, her smirk faltering slightly. "Well, yeah. She made me late. Do you know how important my schedule is?" "Your father is not here," Judy interrupted sharply. "And this is not his courtroom." For the first time, Ava's confidence cracked. Her posture stiffened, her smirk fading. "Lisa, the plaintiff, finally spoke. Asterisk. I have security footage, Your Honor," Lisa said quietly. "She didn't nudge my car. She hit it 3 times before driving off." Judge Judy's eyes flicked to the USB drive in front of her. The courtroom leaned in. This was no longer a petty dispute. Ava's arrogance was about to collide with cold, undeniable evidence. Asterisk. Judge Judy looked at Ava, calm but deadly serious. "Miss Gray, do you understand that leaving the scene after damaging someone's vehicle is illegal?" Ava hesitated, eyeing the audience, realizing that the world wasn't bending for her this time. Asterisk. The courtroom had never felt colder. Silence fell like a weight over everyone present. Ava Gray, the senator's untouchable daughter, had just dared to claim her father's influence put her above the law. And now, Judge Judy held in her hands the evidence that would shatter that illusion. A simple USB drive, small enough to be underestimated, yet containing the undeniable proof of Ava's entitlement and recklessness. The audience leaned forward. Every whisper, every camera click, every shifting chair betrayed the tension in the air. Ava's friend shifted nervously behind her. Ava herself still tried to smile, though her fingers tightened around the edge of the desk. Judge Judy's voice cut through the tension, calm and precise. "Miss Gray, this is the security footage. Let's watch it." Asterisk. The screen lit up. Ava's car reversed, then surged forward into Lisa Ramos's bumper. Once, twice, 3 times. Then, shockingly, Ava stepped out, laughed, snapped a photo of the damage, and drove off. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Some people covered their mouths. A few shook their heads in disbelief. Ava's face paled, her carefully curated composure crumbling in seconds. Judge Judy didn't flinch. She observed, calculated, and let the silence stretch. Ava opened her mouth to defend herself, but quickly shut it. For the first time, she realized that evidence didn't lie. Miss Gray. Judge Judy said softly, but with lethal precision, "Do you still consider that a nudge?" Ava swallowed hard. Her voice cracked. I didn't mean... You meant every word you said afterward, correct?" Judy continued out the courtroom, leaned in. Ava couldn't answer. She could feel her world crumbling, the protective bubble of privilege. The belief that her father's influence could erase mistakes was disappearing in real time. Lisa, sitting quietly, now spoke with calm authority. "Your Honor, Ava didn't just hit my car. She bragged about it to her friends. She posted screenshots online mocking me. People harassed me. My car tires were slashed. I've spent thousands on repairs, security, and medical bills from stress." The numbers she rattled off were staggering. $14,200 for repairs, $1,800 for security cameras, $3,000 in medical expenses, and the emotional toll, millions of micro moments of fear, harassment, and humiliation. Ava's jaw dropped. Judge Judy fixed her gaze on Ava. The room went silent again. Every whisper died down. Every camera focused on the girl who had walked in with smug confidence, now facing the consequences of her unchecked actions. "Do you understand what we are dealing with, Miss Gray?" Judy asked. "This isn't just property damage anymore. This is a series of deliberate actions with real-life consequences for another human being." Ava shook her head, voice trembling. I didn't do the tires or the keying." Judge Judy raised an eyebrow. "Actions have ripple effects, Miss Gray, especially reckless actions. Everything you did set off a chain reaction, and now you're accountable." Ava's smirk was gone. Her designer jacket seemed to shrink around her. She pressed her hands against her forehead, her nails tapping uncontrollably. She realized for the first time in her life that connections, money, and influence couldn't protect her from accountability here. The audience watched in rapt silence, as a privileged teenager was confronted with the reality she had always dodged. Lisa continued, voice steady, "And then, the day before I filed this case, someone keyed my entire car. The bumper. 7 deep scratches. $2,600 in damage. And this was the culmination of your posts, Miss Gray." Ava's eyes widened. She opened her mouth, but words failed her. The magnitude of what she had caused hit her like a tidal wave. Judge Judy leaned forward, her tone calm but cutting like a scalpel. "Miss Gray, let me tell you something about privilege. Titles, money, and influence do not erase responsibility. You tried to manipulate, harass, and intimidate, and now you are learning that justice is blind to your last name." The audience murmured in agreement. Ava's father shifted uncomfortably in his seat, realizing that even his power could not shield his daughter. Judge Judy turned to Lisa, nodding for her to continue. Lisa produced the final documents, detailing $52,000 in emotional distress and reputational harm. Ava's head drooped. Her hands shook. She had faced mockery, harassment, and legal consequences online for the first time, and her carefully constructed world was unraveling before her eyes. Judge Judy finally spoke, her voice steady, slicing the silence. "Miss Gray, what you are about to hear next is the full weight of the law. And this time, you cannot escape. Not with money. Not with influence. Not with a name." The courtroom held its breath. Cameras zoomed in. The audience leaned forward. The courtroom was tense enough to crack. Every eye was fixed on Ava Gray, the senator's untouchable daughter. Just moments ago, she had believed that her smirk, her last name, and her father's influence could shield her from reality. Now, the weight of the law pressed down on her like a tidal wave, and Judge Judy was ready to deliver the verdict that would shatter every illusion of entitlement she had ever held. The air was thick with anticipation. Cameras zoomed in. The audience leaned forward. Even seasoned bailiffs felt the tension vibrating through the room. Ava's designer jacket felt heavier than ever, her hands trembling as she gripped the edge of the desk. Judge Judy's voice cut through the silence. "Miss Gray, stand up." Ava rose slowly. Her chin trembled. Her eyes darted nervously, searching for an escape that didn't exist. Asterisk. "What you have done," Judge Judy began, her tone calm, precise, and deadly, "is not a simple teenage mistake. It is the cruelty of someone who has never been told no, never been held accountable, and never been taught that actions have real consequences for real people." Ava's lips parted. No words came out. She swallowed hard. Every ounce of her usual arrogance was gone. Judge Judy continued, locking eyes with her. "Your father's position does not protect you. Your last name carries zero weight in this courtroom, and your excuses do not undo the damage you caused." The audience gasped collectively. Cameras captured Ava's shrinking posture. The girl who had strutted in with supreme confidence now looked like a child facing a storm she had no way to outrun. Asterisk. Lisa, sitting across from Ava, spoke next. Her voice was steady, but raw with the emotional toll of the past weeks. "Your Honor, after Ava posted the video, my workplace contacted me. They said the footage made the business appear unsafe. I had to deactivate my social media due to harassment. I had panic attacks. My insurance refused to cover the damages because it was intentional. My tires were slashed. Someone keyed my car. Medical bills, security cameras. The total cost is $63,600, not including emotional distress." The room fell silent. Ava's jaw dropped, tears threatening to fall. She couldn't grasp the sheer magnitude of her actions. Judge Judy leaned forward, her voice cutting like steel. "Miss Gray, do you understand what all of this means?" Ava's voice trembled. I didn't mean..." "You didn't mean to get caught," Judge Judy snapped. "That is exactly what you meant." Asterisk. Ava's hands shook violently. Her usual defiance had melted away. She looked at her father, seated helplessly behind her, hoping for protection that wasn't coming. The audience watched, captivated, as the layers of privilege and entitlement peeled off in front of their eyes. Judge Judy continued, her tone measured but unforgiving. "You deliberately damaged another person's property. You laughed about it. You documented it. You encouraged harassment. And you believed your father's name would shield you. That ends today." Ava's lips quivered. She whispered, I'm sorry." Judge Judy's gaze pierced her. "You're not apologizing because you understand the harm. You're apologizing because you're facing consequences. There is a difference." Asterisk. Judge Judy opened the final folder with deliberate precision. The audience leaned forward, every heartbeat sinking with the rising tension. "Miss Ramos," Judge Judy addressed Lisa, "I am awarding you $4,200 for car repairs, $1,800 for security cameras, $3,000 for medical bills, $2,600 for keying damage, $15,000 for emotional distress, $37,000 for reputational damage. The total judgment, $63,600, Ava gasped. Her father's face turned pale. Her small hands clutched the edge of the desk. Judge Judy's voice was cold and final. "You do not have this money. That is precisely the point. You have never faced real responsibility in your life. Today, that changes." Asterisk. The courtroom watched as Ava's tears streamed freely. She was no longer the girl who believed the world bent to her will. She was broken, her confidence crushed, her privilege powerless. Judge Judy directed Ava to look at Lisa. "Miss Gray, do you see the person whose life you disrupted? This is who you hit with your car. This is who you mocked and humiliated. This is who you endangered." Ava obeyed instinctively. Her eyes met Lisa's, the woman who had endured threats, harassment, and fear, and Ava felt shame she had never known. Judge Judy concluded, "Judgment for the plaintiff, $63,600. Court is adjourned." The gavel fell. Ava let out a sob, half gasped, half whimper, as reality slammed into her. Her father rushed to comfort her, but she shrugged him off, not in defiance, but in shame. For the first time in her life, the world did not bend for her. Lisa exhaled a long, trembling breath. Justice finally had been served. Ava Gray sat frozen. Her designer confidence, her arrogance, and her illusions were gone. Judge Judy had delivered the full weight of accountability. But as Ava wiped her tears and looked around, she knew. The lesson had only just begun. The gavel had fallen. The courtroom emptied slowly, but the weight of that day lingered like a storm cloud over everyone present. Ava Gray, once untouchable, once brimming with arrogance, walked out like a shadow of herself. Every step was measured, every glance fleeting. She had learned a truth she could no longer ignore. Privilege does not grant immunity from consequences. The cameras followed her every movement. Social media had already erupted. Clips of her arrogant opening line, "My dad writes the laws you're trying to enforce," were being shared millions of times. Dissected and analyzed, turning her misstep into a viral sensation overnight. News outlets highlighted the case. Political commentators debated the implications. Memes flooded Instagram and TikTok. Ava's name was trending nationally. Every post she had made mocking Lisa now came back to haunt her. A stark reminder that actions, especially reckless ones, have real, lasting impact. Her father, Senator Thomas Gray, had tried to shield her from scrutiny, but even his influence was powerless in the court of public opinion. Staffers whispered in hallways, journalists called, and social media users dissected every word and gesture. Privilege offered no escape here. Back at home, Ava sat silently in her room. Her designer jacket lay crumpled on the floor. Her phone buzzed constantly, notifications, news alerts, messages from friends who were now afraid to reach out. She scrolled through videos of herself laughing arrogantly, the very videos she had thought were clever. Each one pierced deeper than the last. For the first time, she felt true shame and fear. Her father's calls were ignored. She didn't want to answer them, not because of defiance, but because she knew he couldn't fix this time. She replayed the court scene in her mind, Judge Judy's unwavering gaze, the calm authority that dismantled her every excuse, and Lisa's steady testimony. The lessons weren't abstract, they were seared into her consciousness. Senator Gray tried to console her, but even his soothing words rang hollow. Privilege had protected her from punishment for years, that the judgment, both legal and social, was unavoidable. The senator realized that shielding his daughter had only delayed the inevitable confrontation with reality. He had failed to teach her responsibility, empathy, and accountability. The household atmosphere changed overnight. Conversations were strained, every gesture scrutinized. Ava's misbehavior was no longer a private embarrassment, it was a national spectacle. A reminder that arrogance has real-world repercussions. In the following days, Ava attempted to apologize to Lisa personally, but words felt inadequate. Lisa's quiet strength in court had been a stark contrast to Ava's arrogance, and it left a lasting impression on her. She realized that empathy cannot be faked, and respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned. Ava spent hours reflecting, writing in journals she had never touched before. For the first time, she confronted her mistakes honestly. She acknowledged the privilege she had taken for granted, the way she weaponized her father's influence, and the consequences she had inflicted on another human being. Judge Judy's courtroom had delivered more than a financial judgment. It had taught a young girl the limits of power without responsibility. Ava learned that laughter at someone else's expense, public mockery, and careless arrogance carry a ripple effect that extends far beyond her immediate perception. The final piece of closure came slowly, quietly. Ava began making small amends, learning that justice isn't just about penalties, it's about understanding the impact of your actions on others. She started volunteering, helping those affected by reckless behavior, and slowly rebuilding trust, brick by brick. Though the courtroom had been the stage, the real story was far from over. Social media would never forget. Political commentators would continue dissecting the case, and Ava Gray would carry the memory of her fall from arrogance to accountability forever. But in that fall, she discovered something profound. Respect is earned. Privilege is not a shield, and true growth comes only from facing consequences head-on. The audience, both in the courtroom and online, witnessed a rare moment, a privileged life humbled, arrogance confronted, and justice delivered in its purest form. And as Ava looked into the mirror, her reflection no longer whispered entitlement, but a quiet promise. Never again will she assume the world bends for her whims. Asterisk.